Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders just wrapped up another stellar week of their Fighting Oligarchy tour, where they railed against Elon Musk and extreme wealth. Watch.
The destruction of our rights and democracy is directly tied to the growing and extreme wealth inequality that has been building in America for years. It is not a coincidence that billionaires like Elon Musk dumped billions into this election to support Donald Trump. Billionaires and thieves governed by billionaires.
Greedy billionaires.
Big money and billionaires.
Billionaires like Elon Musk.
We're angry at the billionaires, brought to you by George Soros. But just a few days ago, right after they got done trashing the rich, the Green New Deal duo boarded a private jet. How luxurious. Fox News Digital was able to get this photo of the aircraft. The luxury Bombardier Challenger private jet is operated by a company that says it has one of the widest cabins of any business jet available today and provides superior cabin comfort for its passengers. And it can cost up to $15,000 an hour. That's more than you make in 2 months. So, Tommy, please lay out the level of hypocrisy we're seeing here, because I think it's pretty delicious.
If you're fighting the oligarchy, you should be flying Spirit. And that's it. And Spirit might even be too nice if you're really dedicated to your
You should be taking
messaging.
a covered wagon if you're a real commie.
Really, zero emissions, the covered wagon.
Right.
Pulled by horses, the methane's still an issue. Maybe walking is better. Listen, these two want to be rock stars. This is their only way to go about it. I truly and firmly do believe that they love just amassing a crowd for their own self-indulgence, for their own narcissism. They love that they can get people to follow them. And when you listen to them speak, it's just a one-note type of speech. It's billionaires are bad, Elon Musk is bad, big money is bad. We're going to fly in on our private jets and talk to all of you little people about how money is bad.
Yeah.
Instead, a more inspirational message, I think, is the American dream is aspiring to grow wealth, aspiring to have, humble things, but to attain some level of success. And you can get there, too, through hard work in this greatest country on the face of the earth. But they hate America. They hate the fact that this country actually affords people the opportunity to be millionaires and billionaires. But the irony, again, of it all is that they're not flying Spirit. They're not in a covered wagon. They're flying private to talk to the little people about how bad money is. You can't write this stuff.
Well, you also can't write the fact that it was AOC who railed against private jet use just 2 years ago. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we?
For real, how many private jets do these CEOs need? It is insatiable. It is unacceptable.
Well, Jason, she's insatiable. She's very thirsty for attention.
You think? Yeah, and I remember when she bought her Tesla, how she bragged about it and put it out there. Oh, look at this great Tesla that I bought. And now she sings a different tune. Tearing down America is an easy, cheap shot. But I think it's a losing message. I know they get some crowds and whatnot, but it is not representative of America. You have the right to succeed and fail in this country. And that's what our country is all about, the opportunity for success. And there's not this optimism that they throw out there.
Yeah.
They just like to tear it down. And it's disappointing, because I think there's a generation of people that need to be inspired about this country. But I think the majority of those people have suddenly gone to Republicans. It's amazing how the transformation has happened.
They also need to be shown, it's not just the private jet use. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman, was also shown flying first class up in the sky. Someone, a passenger, snapped this photo of her. Let's take a look. There she is. And she's in first class. She's comfy. And they were joking that she's fighting the billionaires one mimosa at a time.
That's right, fergalicious indeed. Look, yeah, Bernie Sanders has 3 homes. Look, at the end of the day, they're trashing wealth, and they're missing the point, which was innovation. It was innovation that got Elon Musk and sheer brilliance all of that wealth. They're ignoring Jeff Bezos. They're ignoring Soros. They're picking and choosing. And I really appreciated how you put it, because they're continuing to say these talking points, these sound bites, without any type of iceberg underneath to explain why. Money is only bad when it's funds the Republican Party, and they totally missed the point, which goes into our first block point, which is that it was a mandate by the American people. They're actually representing the will of the American people. I'm not quite sure what these guys are representing at all. And I think the only good Eat the Rich was the Aerosmith song.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I have a question. Do you think that Bernie is out with AOC because he knows that he is older than dirt and cannot run for president, and she is the only one who can keep his legacy intact? Is he taking her out as his Batman in order to set her up to run in 2028?
I love that comparison, and I think that's exactly what that is. She's the fresh face. They're saying that she's going to be the front runner in 2028. To me, that's absolutely terrifying, but that's who they're putting out there, and that's who they're trying to build up. And yeah, he's old news. He's been there, done that, and now she's going to be the front runner. And I would frankly love to see that, because I don't think she would stand a chance.
Do you think that the GOP would be able to dismantle her if? Okay, Tommy, go ahead. You want to take this because you're already in the
I talked about this with Brian Kilmeade on his radio show before this. We have never seen AOC be challenged, really, by anybody. Right. I've never seen her debate, even a fellow Democrat. I would love to see a Democrat primary where Democrats are actually questioning her, because to my knowledge, I don't think she's even successfully passed a bill. The Green New Deal, arguably maybe her idea, a stupid one, but I don't think she's ever had any legislative true victories, and I don't think she's ever been challenged. I would actually love to see her on a Democrat primary stage, and I would love to watch other Democrats who I disagree with, but I think have worthwhile ideas, challenge her and see what it looks like, not on TikTok, not on Instagram. Let's see what this woman actually believes in and have her explain it.
Yeah, the only challenge that she ever got was from Tom Homan. When she tried to question Tom Homan and Tom Homan put facts back in her face, she just melted. And that's what she always avoids. She never does get that challenge.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. But I'm going to love watching it, especially if it's wearing red lipstick.
Should Kamala say, never mind for president, and is AOC going to be the front runner?
I think it's just way too early for this. And I think it's more likely that Kamala runs for California governor than she runs for president again. I know you floated the idea she could do governor and then she could do president. But I really feel like Democrats are just in crouching mode, trying to figure out what's going on. And the dividing line in the party right now is who's being active and who's being passive. And AOC is being the most active. And that's why she's the most talked about. She's having this enormous rally, is fundraising $9 million, I think it was, 9.2 million maybe in the first quarter. And everybody just wants to see their representatives with a spine, people who are saying we're going to stand up to the Trump administration, people that are galvanizing folks. And she and Bernie have one of the more compelling working class messages. They sound like Trump a lot of the time when they're talking like that. So
maybe a spine, Dana, but also with some hypocrisy. Working class, but also raking in $700 tickets at Coachella. I don't know.
Private jets.
Well,
Private jets,
Jessica
all the
says
things.
they're in crouching mode. It's more like fetal position. I mean, it is bad. And Doug Sosnick is a great political analyst during the Clinton administration, has a big deep dive in Politico today. And one of the things he says is anytime after a presidency is won, like Trump winning, then the next couple of years, even possibly 4 years, there's really only a party and a half. So it's the Republican Party and then half a Democratic Party, because they might try to win the midterms. But I got to say, the Republicans have to be pretty happy that David Hogg is at the DNC saying, we are going to destroy all the moderate Democrats. And Bernie and AOC are like, sounds good to me. Also, it's pretty cute that the media thinks that the rally that Trump had at Madison Square Garden was nothing. And yet we're supposed to be so excited that they can sort of like half fill an auditorium.
Yeah. Or at a concert that everyone was going to anyway.
Yes.
Right? For all of the musical acts. So, Charlie, they say this is a shock poll with AOC coming in second place. But based on what Dana just said about David Hogg trying to destroy anyone with common sense left in the Democratic Party, I'm actually not surprised at all.
Yeah, I didn't think that was much of a shock either. Obviously the Harris numbers are just name ID is all it is. And people are, and I agree with Jessica, they're just kind of confused more than anything else. AOC has all of the credibility for her side because she says things that nobody else says. She draws great crowds, good energy, lots of charisma. All this stuff is really great for them. I think that she could be probably, if I had to bet on somebody right now, I would probably tend to bet on her. The problem is that she does not unify the party. And when you look back at what the party elders did to Bernie Sanders, they're going to try to do to her too. And if you think Kamala Harris had a problem with Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro being Jewish, wait till you see the problem that this woman has with Jews in her party. It's going to get very ugly, and you're not going to be able to paper over these things the way, that was the gift of Barack Obama. He was able to paper over all the differences in the party, and everybody loved him. I don't think she's going to be able to do that.
She's not a uniter, Greg, at least for AOC.
Yeah, but first, I think we should have a moratorium on white dorks on Zoom calls.
Okay.
We have
Done.
We have Fastest and we have fan mail, and I just can't listen to those Nate Silvers and these Saliza people just bites into this glorious show. AOC. What? She's kind of fun in a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half opinions, in need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas. Drives me crazy. AOC has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life. The reason why she gets along with Bernie is because she's like an 80-year-old leftist in a used bookstore. I mean, she may look fresh, but she's as stale as an abandoned futon on the street. It's like, I listen to her, I go, I heard that at Berkeley in 1983. So their problem is, and the reason why they don't have any ideas is they operate on half opinions. Like, what if we get rid of cash bail? Oh, let's do it. What happens? You have repeat criminals wreaking havoc. What if we have sanctuary cities? Hey, let's do it. What happens? You have rapists and killers, finding sanctuary, safe haven. What if we give trans rights that we don't have? Well, you just ruin women's sports. You ruin safe spaces. You make kids' lives hell. But they never think about what their ideas incentivize. That would be nice. So where are their ideas going to come from? Trump. The only way they're going to create a message is based on whatever Trump does. So I have some slogans for the Democrat Party.
Wow.
The Democrat Party, when you're tired of success.
Okay.
The Democrat Party, make America suck again. Democrat Party, the first choice for illegals, vandals, and dead people.
Well, thank you for not using the word
Yes.
oligarchy in
Oligarchy.
your slogans. 'cause
Not
they're
using
it too
any of
much.
those.
Okay.
Let's bring in Congressman Byron Donalds. Congressman, great to see you tonight. How did Democrats find themselves in this position so eagerly to align themselves with MS-13?
Honestly, because the Democrats have been beaten so badly by Donald Trump, the only thing they can do is oppose him, even when they're going to stand with a gang member who had a legal deportation order, was in the country illegally, and was deported. And they would rather stand with that person than stand with the American people who want criminal illegal aliens deported out of this country. The polling has said that consistently. Donald Trump won a mandate last November to do this, but they don't care. They're just so caught up in opposing Donald Trump, they don't realize that they're opposing the American people. So if Chris Van Hollen or any other Democrat wants to go to El Salvador to go have brunch with Kilmar Garcia, be my guest, but all you're going to do is lose more elections in the United States.
The story they're trying to tell, as you heard there from that clip, Congressman, of Ezra Klein at the New York Times, is it's not so much about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, it's about you watching at home, you who oppose Donald Trump. They're trying to suggest if he can take away Abrego Garcia, he can take away you, the average American. What do you say to that?
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. They should be ashamed of themselves because they didn't care when Joe Biden was dismissing our soldiers because they didn't want to take a vaccine. They didn't care when the Biden administration was suppressing the free speech of the American people. They didn't care when the Biden administration ignored federal immigration and border security laws and allowed more than 10 million people to come into this country illegally. They didn't care about any of that. What they do care about is that Donald Trump is following the law and following the mandate of the American people and sending illegals back to their home country. They care about that. This is why the Democrats are in shambles.
And if, in fact, say Chris Van Hollen got his way and the Supreme Court and the Trump administration decided that facilitate meant bring back Abrego Garcia, what would happen, in your understanding, Congressman, what would happen if for some reason President Bukele and President Trump decided to return Abrego Garcia to America?
I think what you would see is more mass illegal immigration into the United States because it would be a signal to the drug cartels, to the coyotes and to the criminals south of the border that America is back open for illegal immigration. If our president doesn't have the ability to deport criminal illegal aliens, then you have no ability to secure secure the nation, and secure our southern border. You simply don't have it. It would reopen the scourge of illegal immigration that the American people have soundly rejected.
I think that's absolutely right. You know, I thought your answer would be, and my answer would have been, that he would be deported back immediately. He'd be returned and then deported. But you make a great point that if he were returned, it would be an invitation to every other, not just illegal immigrant, but criminal legal immigrant, to make their way to the United States. The power of incentive. Congressman Byron Donalds, always great to see you. Thank you for your time.
Breaking tonight, just in the past few minutes, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's chief of staff will leave his role in coming days. Politico reporting that Joe Casper will take a new position at the agency. Casper had requested an investigation into Pentagon leaks in March. 3 top Defense Department aides, as we've reported, were officially terminated today relating to those leaks. Dan Caldwell, Darren Selnick, and Colin Carroll placed on leave earlier this week as part of an ongoing probe. Again, the chief of staff leaving his position as well.
It's good to be home. Now we need to end the illegal abduction of Kilmar Abrego Garcia and bring him home too.
If they can do this to Abrego, they could do this to any immigrant. The game is lost.
They want to have the American people say it's okay to just disappear people.
It's not just about Kilmar. They are going to come for U.S. citizens next if we don't stop this now.
They're all fake, and they have no interest in that prisoner. That prisoner's record is unbelievably bad.
President Trump there at the end talking about this case that obviously is getting a lot of oxygen, a lot of attention. We've been focusing on it because it is getting attention from all sides, including the President of the United States. Let's bring in our panel, syndicated radio host Hugh Hewitt, Annie Linsky, White House reporter for the Wall Street Journal, and Matt Bennett, former Deputy Assistant to the President for Intergovernmental Affairs under Bill Clinton, co-founder of Third Way. Hugh, what is your take on all of this as we're digesting all this information that's coming on all sides of this case and what it means broader for the administration policy?
I think the broad take, Brett, is there's a family feud within the Democratic Party between the ascendant left, which is Bernie Sanders and AOC, and I think Chris Van Hollen is trying to put down a marker there. And the ascendant left is socialist, it's DEI and CRT. It junked the defund the police stuff, and it's added now being anti-pro-Israel, and it's added being anti-immigration. And so Donald Trump, they're basically polarizing against everything Donald Trump is for, and that's going to cause a deep split in the Democratic Party because some of them are part of the old liberal left coalition that got behind Joe Biden in 2020. But the AOC, Bernie, Van Hollen, that's a hard left version of the Democratic Party that will be a much smaller version of the Democratic Party. And they can't stay anti-illegal immigrant because that's not where the country is.
You know, Matt, there are some Democrats warning that you go down this road and you embrace this guy and you find out more things about him over time. It's dangerous politically.
Yeah, it might be. But look, I just don't agree with Hugh on this. I think the principle at stake here isn't just about Mr. Garcia. And you know, we don't really know much about his background other than the White House hasn't really released anything to support their claims about him. But more importantly, the question is, can people simply be disappeared into a torture prison in El Salvador? And the president put on the table, I'm not making this up, the president said that they might start sending American citizens there too. So the question here is about due process. It's not about whether it's appropriate for him to be deported. A court should have decided that, and a court should have weighed in before he was sent to a place where a previous court had said he was not allowed to be sent. So I think it's really about the rule of law, not about immigration.
And that's where Democrats are focusing, due process. Obviously, Senator Van Hollen, Annie, met with him. He told the senator that he's been moved from that one prison to another place that's much better. And this focus on this one guy is really quite something. Meantime, President Trump just moments ago put out a Truth Social holding up this picture saying this is the hand of the man that the Democrats feel they should be brought back to the United States because he's such a fine and innocent person. They said he's not a member of MS-13, even though he's got MS-13 tattooed onto his knuckles. And two highly respected courts found that he was a member of MS-13, beat up his wife, etc. I was elected to take bad people out of the United States. Among other things, I must be allowed to do my job, make America great again. And that's a picture of his knuckles. Any sense that the president and this White House feel politically that they're in the perfect place?
Yeah, the president, this is a fight that the president clearly wants to have. He spoke at great length about this case in the Oval Office today, tweeting out that picture where the letters MS-13 are sort of superimposed on the tattoos to show what the tattoos apparently mean. But I think the issue here is that the president is doing an extraordinary thing in rounding up what he called the worst of the worst and sending him to this prison. And it's very hard, even if you listen to the evidence that the White House is putting out about him. He was picked up driving without a license. He had a domestic dispute with his wife. These two things are not great. They do not make him the worst of the worst. I covered police for 10 years in Baltimore, and I can tell you that's not the worst of the worst. But it's doing something else, too, and it's giving Van Hollen an extraordinary platform that he is using to great effect right now.
And we'll see how that works. All right, quickly, winners and losers down the row. Hugh, go ahead.
Well, the big winner is head coach of the Ohio State University football team, Ryan Day. He went to the White House and managed in 2-3 minutes to run down the entire championship run of the Buckeyes this year. Greatest recruiting speech ever with President Trump in the White House behind him to show some recruits. And then the loser of the week is Harvard, which I think is greatly overestimated how appealing its dismissal of the administration's attempt to enforce the Civil Rights Act and the Constitution against Harvard's discriminatory practice are.
Matt, winner or loser?
I'll start with the loser. I think it was public health. Robert Kennedy's kind of taken an axe to his agency and really put us at risk. I mean, food inspectors and people that research cancer and Alzheimer's are all getting fired for no reason. The winner, though, much more fun, dogs. There was a story in Mother Jones saying that dogs were bad for the environment, and everyone on the left, including me, said, that is insane. Dogs are great. My dog Rosie is great. So dogs are the winner.
That's no good. Okay, Annie, very quickly.
A winner is going to be Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who is ascendant in Trump world right now. He was able to save the job of Jerome Powell, keeping markets a little steadier, and also getting rid of the IRS commissioner that he did not want. And loser, is Joe Biden for a very, very disappointing first speech in his post-presidency.
Panel, thanks.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.